Welcome to Suwalif Space. Over the past 2 decades, the UAE has experienced remarkable growth and transformation in its business environment. Today's episode focuses on the future of leadership in the UAE, how the next generation can navigate a world shaped by rapid innovation, digital transformation, and evolving global challenges. To explore this important topic, I'm honored to be joined by Mr. Osman Sultan, one of the region's most influential telecom and technology pioneer. With over 4 decades of experience, he founded Egypt's Mobinil and later became the founding CEO of SDU, leading it to become a multi-billion-dollar force in the UAE's digital landscape. His visionary leadership and commitment to developing talent make him the perfect voice for this conversation. Mr. Othman, you led SDU's transformation from the early days to becoming the UAE's leading telecom company. In these years, how have you seen leadership change in the UAE?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for hosting me. And thank you for this very interesting topic. We can't say that leadership in companies change. What we can say is some characteristics of leadership has to change, because the world in which this leadership is exercising is not only changing, but changing very rapidly, is being literally disrupted, and the disruption is happening. To illustrate what I'm going to say to answer your question, recent report by Russell Reynolds, the famous consulting company on leadership, gave this number. 74% of CEOs, leaders, this is a global study, are saying that if they do not transform a profound transformation, they are at risk that their company cease to exist.
Wow.
This is the degree of transformation that is needed. So back to the question of leadership. I think that characteristics like, having a story, framing the story and telling the story, because then the capacity to tell it. I really like this one. This is a trait that will always be there. This is a...
So you can say these are like timeless
Exactly.
traits.
This is a timeless that exists. The second one is capacity of executing. Under story, you can say the positioning, the vision, why you're doing this. And then once you have that, you need to execute. Execute on a plan, execute on deliver, etc. So that as well will remain. And the third, and probably one of the most important, is talent and people. So these 3 pillars, in my opinion, will remain. What is becoming more and more important is the ability to read change. So that story is at risk of changing, of being disrupted. So you need the ability to read these changes, 1. And 2, you need the courage and the boldness to transform. You can read the changes and you can say, oh, I know where this is going to. Okay, if you don't take the actions and if you don't dare. And that second part is very often the obstacle. Because reading the changes, now today we open our phone in the morning and you have analysis and you have people and you have articles. So
lots of information.
You are helped in this. But finding it to transform and finding what it takes to convince, because you need to convince a board that is sometimes hesitant in profound changes. You need to convince people that are working. You need to convince the people that are working in the company that this is needed. Join me in this transformation. You can't just transform only by yourself. So these two traits, which is reading the changes and executing and having the courage to execute and transform, in my opinion, will become more and more valuable the more we go.
So would you say these are the skills and mindsets that the leaders should develop to succeed in the future?
Certainly. Mindset is very important. Mindset, when I said having the courage, that's a mindset.
Right.
And the boldness, and then the skills is planning this, putting this into an execution, etc.
But how can the leaders prepare for the transformation, new technology, reshaping, the reshaping of the roles and the opportunities?
Two things. You mentioned the term mindset. I like it very much. And I always used to say, because I had the privilege of being, 20 years ago, when it came to do, in an environment that was completely disrupted. People think that the telecom, with the rise of the internet players that started to propose every service according to a different business model, with these, the rise of social media, when we started that was the time where Facebook was just, started.
Right.
We started to think of it 2004, 2005. Facebook was at its infancy. And then a few years after, we had something called WhatsApp that started. People were sending messages more and more on WhatsApp. And these changes happened really very quickly. So one sentence that I used a lot in my talks is, you have to be stubborn on the vision, but very realistic and flexible on the execution. Because if you have an execution, but the environment around you change, you need to be able to adapt the plan you have for execution. But if you believe that this is where we are heading, you need to be stubborn on the vision you have. That's one. The second thing that is more and more needed in a world that is completely interconnected, where, industries that used to be completely existing separately. When I started my career in telecom, the media industry had nothing to do with the telecom industry, that had nothing to do with the IT industry, that has, et cetera, et cetera. Now, all this is interconnected.
Yes.
When you propose a service to get a media content on a service like Netflix through subscription on a TV you have the telecom operator, you have the media, the TV studios, you have the aggregator that is Netflix, that need to sit around the table and discuss not the certainties that they had decades ago that were completely unshared. I call it from the unshared certainties to the shared uncertainties. They have to sit and discuss a new business model. Definitely. Nobody can say, I know the business model. This is really a changing environment. So the second phrase that I very often say, you need to be able to frame generically, globally, but you need to execute surgically. You need to have this capacity of having altitude and having the big picture when you frame, when you put your plans, when you think of where your company, your services are positioned. But when it comes to execution, you have to go down to the detail, things like the customer experience, things like the customer acquisitions, things like this. The execution has to be surgical. So that's as well a capacity for leaders to be able to move, not only stay in their ivory tower and sometimes they have excellent people to execute, but to be able to embrace the two dimensions.
But how do you differentiate that from micromanagement, let's say, for example?
No. Going and participating and giving your opinion doesn't mean that you are going to do it with your own hands.
Right.
It's not micromanagement. But
it's just to be a holistic
and of
approach.
course, when I said people, it's a whole set of rules and methodologies. For instance, delegation.
Right.
Delegation is a methodology. There are 3 phases for delegation. What I call the first phase is you explain, you handhold, you control. Then with the trust that this person is learning, you explain, you control. And in some cases where you really have people that you worked with and their ability, you just say, what needs to be done. Even sometimes you don't control, that this is going to be done. Right. But that's years and time of, working between people together. And this happened. It happened with me. I was privileged to have people where really I had these various phases in the delegation. And that's all this has to be read by the leader. And so to establish, this is why I said one of the key pillars, probably the most important, right, is the people and the talent that you have around you.
One of the disruptors, let's say, is the AI nowadays. And you being an avid investor in AI technology, what excites you about this field?
Maybe the contradiction that this is probably one of the greatest opportunities in the history of humanity, yet it is one of the greatest and more scary challenges in the history of humanity as well. So thinking of these 2 dimensions that seems contradicting each right. other when we say it. No, I believe that the capabilities are immense. But all of us, we here, thinkers and brilliant thinkers, telling us rightly that if humans don't collaborate, if humans don't put and frame this well, and ask the right questions and have platforms for these conversations to say, well, these capabilities can be very dangerous. Now, does this stop us? Obviously, no. Every CEO of these big companies that are running. So we are all running toward this scary unknown. Fine. But I think in parallel, voices, and I'm writing a book that is almost, hopefully I'll be able to publish it on that part. Nevertheless, I am involved in companies, and in some I'm on the advisory board and an investor. In others, I'm a co-founder and an investor and chairman. So so I am involved in companies that want to use all the capabilities, all the enablers that AI will bring.
But definitely these bring risks and challenges along with them.
There are.
So as a leader or as a professional, how do you navigate? How do you prepare for it? I mean, maybe it's difficult to prepare.
No. Well, first of all, I think that it's still very difficult to really apprehend the challenges because they are yet to come with the evolution of AI. We speak about generative AI that is to come. Right. And so there is evolution, and we know this evolution in AI. We have even dates, and when we believe in how many years we can start to see. So then, I think we don't know yet all the capabilities, but today, what we can see, there are tremendous questions that we need to ask. I give example. I think we need for our audience to. I'm involved in a company called Converse AI that can replace or at least augment every service rendered either through a phone or a computer, customer service, any company
Okay.
that is doing. You name it then. Whether we're talking telcos, or whether we're talking airline companies, or we're talking banks, whether we're talking, etc. It can even create AI twins for
Okay.
a doctor, and we have operational
Wow.
application of this, one in the US, about a clinic, and doctors have their AI, and patients can call their doctor, ask them questions, and the science and the knowledge of this doctor is there with the AI. The AI is
Okay.
available 24/7. The AI can take hundreds of calls, thousands of calls, hundreds of thousands of calls
Right.
simultaneously. So that's either another dimension of the customer service. So a doctor, a lawyer, an investor relation officer in a company, when
Mhm.
sometimes companies you don't know. So all this can be covered.
Wait, so you're telling me that you are coming up with an AI avatar that can have a conversation with a human being, just like any other human being?
Yes, when I mentioned the twin, you know what? Let me, if you allow me, I
Please,
don't
yes.
know. Let's have the audience listen to this.
So now we are going to listen to an AI
My
avatar,
my twin.
your
My
AI
twin.
twin.
Okay. So we are listening to my twin that is knowledgeable in telecom in the UAE, in Egypt, and the market. Let's suppose my knowledge
Right.
and the contacts in the UAE, etc. Of course, what you plug as knowledge is much more than the knowledge I have or that I have in my mind, because
It has
the
access to
memory,
the other
it has
data.
immediate access, but you will see as well okay, let's do it. Hi, I'm Osman, Sultan's digital twin. Quick note, since this live demo uses a US-based number, callers joining from outside the country may notice a slight delay or latency between responses. This won't occur with locally deployed numbers. All right, what's your name? My name is Muhammad. How are you, Osman? Hey, Mohammed, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Always energized to connect with forward thinkers like yourself. So what's on your mind today? Well, we're talking here about AI, and it's a buzzword now, everywhere, and we know that the subject of AI is fundamental and at the heart of a lot of initiatives in the UAE. So, can you shed us some light on the regulatory environment, on the legislative environment, if any, in the UAE, and the initiatives that the government took to encourage the development and attract companies working in AI. We know that both Dubai and Abu Dhabi are extremely bullish and pushing the subject a lot. So, what can you tell us on the matter? Absolutely, Mohammed. The UAE has really positioned itself as a global leader in AI by establishing a comprehensive regulatory and legislative framework, National AI Strategy 2031, which sets out clear goals for AI integration across sectors like health, transport, and education. And the UAE was actually the first country to appoint a Minister of State for Artificial Intelligence. On the regulatory side, you'll find robust guidelines like the AI ethics principles and guidelines, which focus on fairness, transparency, accountability, and privacy. Dubai has its own ethical AI toolkit and the Dubai AI seal to promote responsible AI use, while Abu Dhabi is aiming to become the world's first fully AI native government by 2027, backed by significant investment. The government has also launched initiatives like the UAE AI Council, the Artificial Intelligence and Advanced Technology Council, and major funding programs to attract global AI companies and talent, making the ecosystem both innovative and well-governed. Osman, my bad. My apologies. I just noticed that one of our team members is not very comfortable in English. Can you please give me this expose on the framework on AI in Arabic? أكيد محمد ولا يهمك. شوف، في الإمارات في عنا إطار تشريعي وتنظيمي كتير متطور للذكاء الاصطناعي. دولة أطلقت استراتيجية الإمارات الوطنية للذكاء الاصطناعي 2013 يلي هدفها دمج الذكاء الاصطناعي بكل القطاعات مثل الصحة، التعليم، النقل وغيرها. وكمان الإمارات كانت أول دولة
Osman, I'm interrupting again, but my guess, if I ask you to give me this expose in Hindi, you can give it to me in Hindi.
Absolutely, Mohammed. I can give you this overview in Hindi if you'd like. Just let me know if you want me to continue in Hindi.
Yes, please. Continue rather in Hindi, please.
ठीक है मोहम्मद, मैं आपको हिंदी में समझाता हूँ. देखिए, यूएई ने आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस एआई के लिए बहुत मजबूत रेगुलेटरी और लीगल फ्रेमवर्क
ما
बनाया
أعرف هندي ما بصلح له.
Thank you very much for this precious conversation, Osman. Much appreciated. I think this is illustrating the type of capabilities going forward. Now, of course, the more accurate conversation, I can take an article on AI, upload it to my twin, and discuss with my twin about the articles and what I see about that, which I am intending to do with the book that I told you. I am finishing a book to look at the what I call existential, societal, and etc.
But Mr. Othman, a skeptic might argue that this is basically just the information in the internet, like ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, but with the audio. So what makes this AI special?
You're absolutely right. ChatGPT has a wealth, a reservoir of knowledge and information. That's of course, which is not supposed to exist with the twin of Osman Sultan, obviously, because I don't have that. So if you ask me a question where ChatGPT will answer about what is the what are the parameters on the GDP of Ukraine and that are influencing 2 years ago, and Osman Sultan wouldn't know, because we plugged the fields of expertise that twin is supposed to represent on top. So what we did actually is we plugged foundational models for various industries that allows the learning. This is a large language models. The AI is based on learning models from the language. I don't want to go in detail and bore our audience, but you go deeper in the knowledge. You don't go wider and with more breadth. Then there is the format. You are conversing, really, you are talking, that's very important. The language, I don't think, the language now is something, automatic translation.
But I loved also that it got slightly Lebanese accent.
No, but it's supposed to be my accent.
Right.
I recorded, but unfortunately I didn't record professionally like we have with this type of mic. So these guys, my partners in the company, they took some from YouTube, some of my conferences, etc.
Nice.
Okay. But for the Hindi, they took the voice and they plugged, because I don't speak Hindi, obviously. But my French, Arabic, and English are absolutely, should correspond. Is this an enabler? Certainly. Is this going to make the efficiency much, much, much better? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Does this pose the question of jobs? Certainly. Are there answers today in the corporate world and society what to do with this? No, I don't think. So, you see, these are the type of questions. So yes, you can phase it. You can start by, so that's one case. The other company that we have and I'm involved in is a company where you can customize the words, the music, and the voice of a song. So you create a full song totally made by AI.
Nice.
Isn't it scary when it comes to creativity? Yes, it is. Is the quality acceptable? The quality is more than acceptable. I had experts in music listen to it and say, it's even better than things that we. And recently, and everybody can read, or we can see on our on the videos that we receive, there has been AI stars that generated millions. There have been an AI band. So companies like YouTube, Spotify are now, so it's happening.
Yeah, AI influencers.
And we know when things start to happen, they are irreversible because we have a fascination, specifically young people. Shouldn't we think, where is the human in this? Of course we should. Shouldn't we ask ourselves the question, what is happening to human creativity, to human talent? Are we negating human talent, creativity, art? Or are we enabling or democratizing it more, allowing much more people to have enabling tools? That's a question. I don't have the answer, but I think that we need to ask questions.
Right.
That's as well something that this is the paradox of the great enabling capabilities and the scary parts where, but I don't think we need to be scared and stop everything and, close ourselves. And I think we just need to talk about it, have the right questions, listen to people that have different vantage point, and move on.
Well, I mean, beside the scary fact that this can also take now my job as a podcast host, don't you feel that this AI can also get into leadership? Since, I mean, we were talking about the leadership concept.
It can. So if your provocative question, and I like it, by the way, is, are we going all to be replaced? Well, I don't know, but AI is going to become more and more intelligent, more and more capable. So we need to think. I believe that, I call it, there will be, the positive way of look at it, there will be in jobs a spiraling upward, which is more basic jobs, of course, that will disappear. The more basic job. And this happened, in the Industrial Revolution, we saw this famous film of Charlie Chaplin with, workers in a factory doing the same routine job. Mm-hmm. With the automation, these disappeared with the automation.
Right.
And then more and more, even the automation was enhanced, replaced when digital came. So now with AI, things are going to be as well replaced and done differently. The good thing that makes us optimistic is that at every breakthrough from a technology, from the steam to the electricity, from the wheel to etc., ecosystems and societies adjusted. The dangerous part, or the part that should worry us, is that today the change is so rapidly. Do we know if ecosystems and societies will be able to adjust quickly, or it will happen with some hurt? That's a question for which nobody, I think, have an answer. But we need to ask ourselves this question.
And I think because it's also moving so fast that it's very difficult to keep up with all the changes that's happening.
That's the issue. The pace, it's not the change itself only, it's the pace of change that should question us.
Yeah, because leadership, for example, as a skill has evolved so much, and people have studied it so deeply with so many thoughts and schools. And now in that also you have the element of AI, not only leading people, but leading technology.
It's the main element. Today, if we talk about a disrupt, and I think we talked about CEOs, I don't think that there is any CEO today that can afford the luxury of not, completely desiccating the processes in its company and looking at where AI should be implemented as quickly as possible.
Right.
In processes. Mm-hmm. In processes, in analytics, in data, in reporting, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. But if we look ahead, what piece of advice would you give the young leaders the young generation of the UAE now with all these disruptions and challenges?
You know, I'm tempted to say the only advice that I could give them, look around you. Just look around you. We are privileged to be in one of the most dynamic, not only economically, business-wise, societal-wise, but I believe one of the most dynamic and amazing and the milestone of civilizations, what happened in the UAE in the last. So in a very humble way, I will tell them, look around you. And I want to use an example for this that
Please.
I learned from someone. When I was called more than 20 years ago to set up when I had this privilege, as a CEO, I asked my chairman at the time, I asked Ahmed bin Biyat and told him, okay, so what is somehow the target that the shareholders, what can you tell me? Is it a growth story? Is it a market share story that you want? Or is it a yield story in the sense we need to see the EBITDA of this company in the coming 5 years reaching this and this? Or we need to see this company reaching, independent of reaching 50% of market share. And I needed to see what's the driver.
Yep.
And I had the most amazing answer. He said, come with me. We were in Emirates Towers.
Okay.
His office is in Emirates Towers. He said, come with me. So he took me to the window, not far. And he said, look around you.
That was in 2005.
That was in 2005.
So nothing was around, right?
He looked around you. Nothing. Cranes, and building and construction and things that were. He said, think we want a company that is at the dimension of what you are seeing. We have a person that is taking us through this story. And of course, he meant His Highness.
All right, Sheikh Mohammed.
So think we need a company that will fit with this type of vision, this type of ambition, etc. I never had better advice because I looked around me. Every time we were taking a decision, I used to ask the team, do we believe that this is fit with the Dubai ambition or with the UAE ambition? Because of course, we had shareholders and the Abu Dhabi and what we did for, the Abu Dhabi story. We had Mubadala, we had Dubai Holding. Beautiful story. I still say this is a medal on my chest, that story, that having to do this.
Yeah, to be part of this amazing transformation.
To lead this construction, of course, with a team and to build the team, etc. Beautiful journey.
Yeah. Amazing advice. And it does put a lot of pressure, I think, on the younger generation, seeing all the development and amazing achievements that the UAE has done so far. So,
the young generation will impress you. I am privileged. I have 5 children from 36 to 21.
Mashallah.
And I saw their evolution with this technology. No, the way they think now, totally different than we are. The way they approach things. I was having this discussion. It's so I'm fully confident.
So to look around, to get into the details and
look
see.
around and learn.
Nice.
Look, the construction of the UAE, layer after layer, vertical next to another vertical, is a lesson. Is a lesson in the history, is a milestone in the history of civilizations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Uthman. It was a very invigorating conversation.
I thank you for this lovely moment and this conversation. Thank you for hosting me.
In a world where disruption is no longer the exception but the norm, the future of leadership demands vision, adaptability, and the courage to turn challenges into opportunities. The leaders who will define the UAE's next era are the ones who embrace change, inspire their team, and know how to harness emerging technologies rather than fear them. And that's exactly what our guest, Mr. Osman, brings to the table. A reminder that true leadership is not about reacting to the future, but shaping it. Until next time, keep leading, keep questioning, and keep challenging the future before it challenges you.